Welcome back. Another race Kentuckians have their eye on, the 6th Congressional District. Governor Beshear recently endorsing Democrat Josh Hicks, who's hoping to unseat longtime incumbent Andy Barr.
Yeah, you've likely seen the attack ads. It's been heated, and when it comes to spending, Andy Barr's campaign has raised about twice the amount as Josh Hicks, something Hicks says can, quote, drown out your voice.
Yeah, Barr meanwhile saying it's fair game to call out your opponent to point out the differences. Here's a closer look at the two candidates.
It's about getting results.
Representative Andy Barr branding himself a solid choice as he seeks re-election in the race for Kentucky's 6th Congressional District, highlighting what he calls accomplishments over his past 4 terms.
Whether it's responding to the virus, getting more personal protective equipment from the Strategic National Stockpile, or literally hundreds of millions of dollars to local area hospitals and doctors, to expanding telehealth services so that we're protecting frontline healthcare workers.
Barr's opponent, Josh Hicks, calling attention to his background as a kid who grew up on a farm, serving as a U.S. Marine and working as a practicing attorney.
I have dedicated a large chunk of my life to public service, and it's something I think is currently missing. I think my voice is one that can encompass the wide variety of folks in the 6th District.
So let's break down the issues. On the coronavirus pandemic, Hicks citing what he calls a lack of federal guidance.
We're seeing developed countries all over the world who are having full attendance sporting events and concerts and have everything wide open because they presented a unified front against this virus early on.
We have really responded in a way that I think can enable the economy to open up.
Barr, meanwhile, saying we've learned a lot about balancing safety measures with getting people back to work and can now focus on more testing to reopen schools and additional legislation.
Reload the Paycheck Protection Program for those businesses in distress, and we also need liability protection for colleges, universities, schools, and small businesses.
And when it comes to safety and law enforcement,
Talk about that balance between keeping the community safe and also policing.
Yes, ma'am. Well, I spent 5 years up in Maysville, and I was a police officer there.
Hicks says he understands police have a tough job and believes officers are underpaid.
Where we have good police officers as public servants doing the right things in their communities, we should buoy them up. We should make sure that they're getting all the support we need. But we also have to recognize that where you have police officers that are not doing the right thing, that don't have that dedication to public service at heart, we have to be a voice to stop that as well.
Barr agrees in part.
I think the vast majority of law enforcement officers are heroic, brave people.
However, Barr believes more funding is needed for police to maintain that standard and to improve morale.
Rather than defunding the police, we need to actually support policies that would provide more resources, more training, more body cameras. That's why I support a police reform bill that would increase funding for law enforcement by $1.75 billion and provide 500,000 body cameras.
And Barr talked a lot about his future plans, from giving Kentuckians another stimulus boost to implementing a China task force to hold what he calls the Chinese Communist country responsible for the pandemic. Hicks, meanwhile, focused, of course, on that change in leadership, touting himself as just a voice for the people.
Yeah, the candidates had much more to say. You can actually listen to their full interviews on our website, WTVQ.com. A big thanks to all 4 of those candidates that we just previewed for taking time to come and chat with us. And it's busy election season, so we certainly appreciate it.
It sure is. And don't forget, tomorrow we're going to be doing our live election coverage at the polls, so you want to stick around for that tomorrow as well.